Okay, welcome back, creatures of the night, as we step into a double feature watch along with my good friend Keegan Dimitrijevic from Twitter as we continue our look back through the Undertaker and Batista rivalry. The Phenom, the Animal clash once again at Backlash in a last man standing match. And you would think that would probably be the end to this feud. They've been through No Way Out together. They've been through WrestleMania where the dead man reigns supreme and 15-0. And then now you're going to have a last man standing match at Backlash. It should be the end of a feud, but not for The Undertaker and Batista, as we are going to be treated to a second match on this watch along day as they clash a mere couple weeks after this grueling pay-per-view match in another grueling match on SmackDown where they collide in a infamous steel cage match. And I thought it'd be only fitting, and Keegan actually brought up the idea that these two matches go together perfectly because both two matches end in a sort of, how would you describe it? I would describe it as sort of a wacky finish that both of them, there's no clear winner to either match.
Pretty much a TV style finish.
Yeah, exactly. Spoilers, if you have not seen these matches, The Undertaker wins by not actually winning the match. The Undertaker and Batista fail to make the 10 count, and The Undertaker and Batista both escape the steel cage simultaneously. So I figured,
and making the time bit better.
Really, I mean, they seriously, and I vividly remember that watching that live, they perfectly escaped the cage at the same exact time.
It was like Cena and Batista at the Rumble 2 years before, where they landed like smack at the same time when they fell out of the ring. Batista has a knack of actually timing falling out of the ring with people perfectly.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
he has perfect.
I don't know if it's a coincidence or what it is, but
he has perfect timing in these instances. So I thought that when you made that suggestion, we do it. I said it's perfect. It is perfect because both of these matches, The Undertaker wins by not actually winning. So
he keeps the heavyweight title, kind of.
Yeah, he keeps
Well,
it.
kind of.
Well, he keeps his title for just a brief instance in that steel matches. We'll see, but not to give too much away, as I have already done. We shall begin with Backlash, and it is Backlash for Peacock viewers such as myself. It is season 9, episode 1, Backlash 2007. For the network viewers such as Keegan, who are so lucky to still have it, it is just simply Backlash 2007. But we are both.
I think it's just a matter of time.
We are both queued up at the same interval, which is 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 15 seconds. And I am ready when you are. Are you also ready to go?
I am ready.
Perfect. Then let's take a look back at one of my favorite matches from The Undertaker. Undertaker versus Batista, Backlash 2007. So in 3, 2, 1, play.
I miss the old pay-per-view sets too. I know we've talked about it before, but just these sets bring back so many.
I agree.
So many memories.
Yes. I know we talk about it. I think every time we're here together, we talk about how much we miss these old pay-per-view sets.
It just brings back so much.
I especially love the Backlash sets, always the Backlash sets with the hooks on the side, coming down at the superstars making their entrances. The Backlash here, even though it's more polished, that those edges on the side there, those razor sharp hooks on the side, they still incorporated it here. It's just so.
I miss the old flashing bulbs too that they used to have. I know they're from like the 80s and 90s, but they just added a cool visual on the side too.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have those anymore. They haven't used them in a long time, ever since like the network era. But I mean, I miss the pay-per-view era of WWE just
Yeah.
because it just every card felt huge. Now a lot of the pay-per-views just feel like a Raw or a SmackDown, show. But like every pay-per-view back then, like in 07 or any year in the 2000s, just felt big.
Mhm.
Like it felt like a legitimate pay-per-view. Like you had Taker and Batista, on this card, and then in the main event, you actually had a four-way with Edge, Orton, Cena, and Michaels too.
Yeah, I remember that fatal four-way.
Fantastic, which was a great match in its own right. But I mean, there's just like the cards were so stacked
Mhm.
that people legitimately would have paid like $50 Canadian to watch it. Which is crazy.
I know I paid a lot for these pay-per-views because I just wanted to see it. I wanted to see, especially champion Undertaker,
Yes,
defending
because it
his,
didn't happen all that often.
yeah. And it's a
Well,
last man standing. I think he very rarely participated in last man standing matches. He had one with Great Khali a year prior to this,
Arguably Khali's best match.
and I think that's it.
Yeah, I don't remember him in the Attitude Era even doing any last man standing matches that I
No.
recall. Like I know he did buried alive matches a lot of times in the Attitude Era, like with Austin and guys like that. But I mean, I never in First Blood matches he did too in the Attitude Era, but I don't remember him ever doing a last man standing until Khali.
Khali, I think, is the first, and Batista's second. I think that's it. I think these are the only two for Undertaker.
Yeah, because he didn't do any with Edge. I know with Edge he did TLC for the first time, but he never did last man standing with them.
Yeah.
And then with Big Show, he did a casket too. I remember that, and he did the Punjabi prison with Big Show. But I don't remember him. Yeah, I don't really remember Taker doing too many last man standing matches.
Oh, and you know what? I think he may do one more with Big Show, if I remember correctly. He may do a Cyber Sunday.
I can't remember if he did a last man standing with Show in 08 because I know he did a casket and I know he did a match at No Mercy and he did one at Cyber Sunday, but I forget what stipulation it was.
I think it's the last man standing and Big Show and Cyber Sunday. So I think that's three. I think that's the only three.
Oh, is that the match where Big Show beat him by knockout?
No, Big Show by knockout and No Mercy.
Oh, No Mercy, yes. Then last man standing, then casket where Taker won the feud. Yeah. And they did a cage match too on SmackDown, I think, from what I remember.
So he does three back-to-back years, 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, and then never again afterward. I wish he would have done more though, because he was good in last man standing matches. Like he carried Khali to arguably his best match.
Yeah, he wins all three. Technically, he wins all three of them.
I love that concerto spot he did with Khali on that SmackDown. I wish he would have done it in this match. I think it would have been a cool visual, but I mean, there was a lot of great spots in this match that we'll get to, as the match goes on. But I mean, there's like two or three big spots I remember.
You just witnessing the Undertaker raise the lights with the championship belt. Such an amazing image there. Him holding the belt to raise the lights.
And again, I know we talked about it in the last show, but the World Heavyweight title just suited him, man.
Yes.
That belt just looked so good. And it is a belt for those WWE fans out there. I know a lot of people say it's just a championship or a title. It's a belt. It's how it's always been described as since the 1930s. The World Heavyweight belt. That's usually what I call it. Because it wasn't even a WWE belt, really. I mean, they brought it in from the NWA and WCW after they purchased it. So technically it's a belt, but I mean, to me, it's the best looking belt that they've had. That and the Undisputed belt are my two favorites. And actually, I didn't mind the spinner either. A lot of people don't like the spinner, but I don't think it was that bad. I'll take her with an elbow right away. Yeah, you didn't see Taker do too many multiple elbow drops. He started fast in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason, him and Batista always started so fast.
I was just to say, just like WrestleMania 23, the right out of the gate starting fast.
He usually never started out of the gate.
I remember I remember the photographers at the bottom of the ring posting photos. I remember for WWE.com and stuff like that.
Oh man, like they got some good pictures of Taker from every Mania because of the entrances and just especially like when he raised the belt at Mania 23. That was such a good picture.
Yeah.
Diving tackle, there it is. I wonder how long he would have held that belt before he got injured and had to drop it. I wonder if he would have just kept beating Batista throughout the entire year, or if they would have just flip-flopped it back and forth. It makes me wonder.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if they would have kept the Batista, because then I don't know if they would have kept drawing out the Batista matches, because then Batista would have had to win one.
I think they would have ended it at SummerSlam. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it probably because Taker missed SummerSlam, so they put the belt on Khali. I would have put it on Kane and did Batista and Kane until Taker came back. That's what I would have done, but they put the belt on Khali and then they put it back on Batista afterward, and then when Taker came back. So, I mean, if Taker wouldn't have been hurt, throughout that time, I think they would have probably ended it at SummerSlam or maybe Cyber Sunday. I don't think they would have extended it, past that, but because I think they would have slowly transitioned to Taker and Edge, because I think Edge would have cashed in one of the matches, like during it, like how Seth did at 31. I think you would have saw the first ever cash in during a match with Edge, and he would have speared one of them and pinned him. Probably Batista. He probably would have pinned Batista and then ran away with the title, which would have led to Taker and Edge down the road.
Probably.
That's what I'm thinking. And I think the three-way would have probably been at Survivor Series instead of Armageddon.
I mean, that's a good choice. That's a good idea. As good as anything, you never would have known.
Well, because Edge got hurt too.
Yeah.
In the cage vengeance with Batista. So then really they just had Batista. They went back to Batista and Khali, which, until Taker came back, and then Taker saved the day and, had the great Cell match and the Cyber Sunday match, and then it went to Taker and Edge. So, yeah, man, they did so much in such a short amount of time, like only a year, but like Taker, Edge, and Batista, all three of those guys just did so much together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fast-paced match.
You can see throughout the story of Batista's feud with Undertaker, he's like the first one that, especially since Lesnar, that really brings it to the Undertaker.
Yeah, physically, yeah.
Yeah, you can see like they really bring out the best of each other. They really bring it to like a standstill in their matches, which is, like in the beginning of this episode, what I talked about is what you see in this match and what you see in the steel cage is that Undertaker gets the best of Batista at WrestleMania, and then the next pay-per-view and the next SmackDown, Batista is really forcing the Undertaker to basically a standstill in these matches.
Yeah.
And
I got that feeling.
It's something you haven't seen really since Lesnar, like Unforgiven and like the Biker Chain and the Hell in the Cell, that you saw a more aggressive opponent coming at the Undertaker. And it's really what we see here in Batista throughout this whole rivalry, and what we're going to be seeing later on in the year as well with Cyber Sunday and Armageddon with the triple threat.
Yeah, I agree with the Lesnar mention, because if you look at it too, like in 03, 04, 05, and 06, they didn't really give Taker a feud where, you thought he would get beat clean. And Batista kind of imposed that threat to beat Undertaker clean without any, shenanigans or any dirty finishes. Whereas like in the Orton feud in 05, anytime Orton did get a victory, it was usually by a dirty finish, to protect Taker. But this was like you said, the first time since Brock where you legitimately thought Taker could be beaten clean by somebody throughout an entire feud, and Batista, was that guy. So yeah, like it was like they went like a 5-year window without really having anybody necessarily beat Taker in a feud clean.
Yeah.
But Brock was the first, really. Because even like in the Attitude Era, like Taker rarely ever lost clean. I think he only literally lost clean, maybe from what I remember, like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it's usually shenanigans.
And one was to Austin at SummerSlam 98. That was
Yeah.
like one of the very few times I remember Taker lost clean, because he never lost to Shawn clean, from what I remember. Because Kane interfered every time.
Yeah.
And so it's like I don't really remember Taker losing clean that much in the 90s.
And
But
especially 99 and his feud with Austin, like the first blood and everything, it's people interfering to making the Undertaker bleed. And in the Buried Alive, Undertaker's losing due to interference. So it's a shenanigans types of interference that has the Undertaker lose. So yeah, the Austin Highway to Hell match, that really stands out as a clean loss.
I like that match too. I just wish Austin wouldn't have been knocked out in it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I think like it was a good match that was just bordering on great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would have been great had Austin not been KO'd for over half of it. But those two guys, like everybody says that like they had no chemistry, and I don't know. I mean, I thought they had some good matches, but people might disagree.
Some of the best to rewatch, especially in the Attitude Era.
I love the First Blood match. I think it was at Full Loaded.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I didn't even mind the Backlash 02 match either. A lot of people didn't like that one either.
Oh yeah, that one, yeah.
I liked it. I mean,
yeah.
Same thing with like Taker and Batista. Like I liked all their matches. Like every match they had, I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Like every match was different but good.
Batista really working on that, the injured thigh.
Selling it.
Yeah. Undertaker getting up so easily and just watching Batista try and stumble his way up.
Yeah, there's a lot of good selling in this match too, especially for two guys that you wouldn't think would have a good match together. They ended up pulling out 5-6 really good ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Like because usually when you put two big guys in the ring, it's not that good,
mm-hmm.
unless if it's Taker, but they pulled it off every time.
So you expect Undertaker to be good against a Randy Orton or an Edge. When you put somebody muscular and big like Batista and Lesnar, it's like, are you getting a good match? And more times yes than no.
Yeah, because I think it's because Batista and Lesnar too, they somehow meshed with Taker,
mm-hmm.
whereas a lot of bigger guys didn't. I mean, Kane did. I heard a lot of people say that him and Kane didn't, but I thought they had some good matches together. But so really, like Kane, Batista, and Lesnar are the big three that he always or usually had good matches with.
I would put Big Show in there. Big Show's good with Taker.
Yeah, I would say the 2008 matches. Yeah, they were good. Punjabi Prison, maybe not. But
no,
but the 2008 matches were good, and I actually thought that a couple of their 02 matches were good too.
Yeah, because that gimmick of the Punjabi Prison, that's just a whole cluster of.
You can't have a good match in that stipulation. I don't care who you are. You could throw Taker and Shawn in there, and I don't think they would have a good match in it. It's just because of the stipulation. I mean, I don't think anybody could work around it. They've tried it a few times, and no one's been able to do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it. If they would have had like Taker and Big Show in like a normal match or like a no holds barred or even like a last man standing, it would have been a lot better. But I mean, you can only do so much with that stipulation. It's like being in a lumberjack match. Like it's a hard match to have, to be good at. It's hard to have good matches like that. They're very handcuff stipulations.
And no matter how bad that match is, they originally wanted that with Khali, which would have been 10 times worse.
Yeah, it would have been worse.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I agree with that. But like, it's even like with the last man standing match, like a lot of people find a last man standing match to be kind of a handcuff stipulation, but I don't think it is. I really don't. Like, I actually think it's an easier match to work around than most.
It's basically a DQ match without pinfalls.
Yeah, it's essentially a Texas death match, except without, having to pin anybody. And it's like, you just got to milk the count. You got to know how to space out the counts and know how to milk them with the crowd. That's how you got to pace it. That's why a lot of people hated the Edge and Orton match from Mania in 2020, because they didn't have a crowd to feed off of. because the match wasn't bad by any means. I liked it, but I mean, for these kind of matches, you got to have the crowd involved, counting, and you got to create drama and suspense to it.
Undertaker,
which they did.
Undertaker has totally wrecked the ringside area by now. He has taken apart the SmackDown commentators table. He has scared announcers out of chairs. He has ripped apart steel steps, and he has thrown the steel steps into Batista, and just has the visual of Undertaker sitting on the steps, awaiting the referee to count to 10 is something I always remember from this match.
And now he's taking apart Batista's face too, punching it left, right, and center, targeting the wound and
opening up a freshly cut Batista.
It's a good visual for a last man standing match, though, to make your opponent bleed and then just target the cut right after. It makes sense for that kind of match. Here we go. He's going to go for that. This is probably my favorite spot of the match, that leg drop from the barricade to the announce table.
Yeah.
Probably favorite spot of the match. Because I don't think he rarely did that spot. Like, I don't think he ever did it off the barricade before, but I know he did it off the turnbuckle to the announce table. I know we used to do that in the Attitude Era. But I think his tailbone probably never forgave him for it.
Probably.
Okay, because he did it with Austin. I remember that.
And a turn of events that we don't usually see. Undertaker has ripped apart the announce table, and he successfully put somebody through it. Yeah. Instead of ripping apart the announce table and being put through the announce table, he has ripped apart. A big
rule in wrestling that I've seen, it's like a huge ritual, is that when you rip apart the table, you're the one that's going through it. That's usually what I've seen. Or they had this tendency every pay-per-view to break the Spanish announce table. I don't know if it was a rib or a joke, but every pay-per-view back then, they always broke the Spanish announce table. And I used to feel so bad because, like, halfway throughout the show, the Spanish announcers didn't have anywhere to really put their stuff on the table because they broke it. It was like a ritual every pay-per-view back in the 2000s. They broke the Spanish announce table.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
That was pointed out to me as a kid, like people used to tell me, like, watch throughout the pay-per-view. They're going to break the Spanish announce table every time. And I don't know if Vince like made that a rib to break it, but they should have broke JR and Jerry Lawler's table, man, and give them their own medicine. Or Cole and Taz or something. Well, I mean, Cole and JBL here, but
and again, what we've been talking about, no stopping, no slowing down. Undertaker does the snake eyes, running for the big boot. Batista doesn't even miss a step, and right into a spear to the Undertaker.
Yeah, him and Goldberg tried to replicate that in the Super Showdown match, but this is how it was done. Batista. I always thought Batista had an underrated spine buster too. Like I remember when Taker used to try and do snake eyes, and then Batista would catch him with a spine buster too. I always thought that was a cool visual.
Yeah, 2 spine busters, going for a third.
At least they use the count, because a lot of times in last man standing matches they forget to really count when the guy's down, and they still think it's like a normal singles match. That's what I've noticed a lot in a lot of modern last man standing matches. It's like a really choreographed, whereas here it's like every time one guy does a move, you can believe that they're gonna not get up. Just big move after big move. Like the choke slam right here. You know what would have been cool, and they never did it, is if like they would have had Batista spear the Undertaker like through the SmackDown stage and had the SmackDown fist fall or something. I think that would have been a cool.
Well, that would have to be timed really well, not to hurt anybody coming down.
Well, yeah, because the fist is heavy. But I mean, like remember when they got rid of the SmackDown fist and they went to the HD stage? Like back in like the first couple weeks of 2008.
Oh,
right before the Rumble.
Very not vividly. I don't remember how they got rid of that.
Because that's when they switched it. They switched it from the fist to the big like HD television screen, like right before the Rumble in 08. I think it would have been cool, like, to kind of blow off the feud if they would have had him speared the Undertaker through it or something and had the fist fall down, and then that could be the genesis of creating the new HD stage. I think that would have been a cool way to kind of end the SmackDown fist era. But you would have had to do it safely though, because that fist is heavy. So you would have had to make sure like everything was done.
Destroy, like put a big
properly.
dent in that ramp.
Like when Orton drove him through.
Yeah, Orton drove him through that thing. I remember that.
Yeah, when Orton used the lowrider and drove him through it, I remember that too, and he couldn't get the car started.
And Batista and Undertaker reversing positions there. Usually Undertaker is the one lifting him up for the last ride in that turnbuckle spot. But Undertaker being lifted into a Batista bomb for that turnbuckle.
Over the head chair shot. They don't do those anymore. I think it was like 3 months after this they stopped doing over the head chair shots. So this was one of the last over the head chair shots you were gonna see.
Yeah.
Here we go. Well, Batista bomb. Nope. Back body drop on the chair. Yeah, I don't think anybody ever expected this feud to be as good as it was.
Oh, it's so vivid in my memories of watching this whole thing play out.
Well, it's like at the time, like a lot of the dirt sheets were like, "Oh, this match is gonna suck. The feud's gonna suck. It's not gonna be good." And I think that I think that lit a fire, especially under Batista, to make it this good, and they did. I remember Batista like really put over this feud, and because he had something to prove.
Yeah, they work so good together.
Oh yeah, they like. I think Batista's two best opponents are probably Triple H and Taker, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Those two guys brought out the best in him. It's like he cranked it up a few notches when he was against those two. Yeah, this was like the perfect example of putting like two of the biggest guys on your roster together and just saying go to war.
Undertaker is astonished that he got up from that tombstone.
Oh, here we go. The right hands again. Yeah, man, Taker was in the best shape of his career here.
Moving themselves up the ramp. We know what's coming. We know what the end game is here.
I've seen the end game a million times, and if you haven't watched this match ever, if you're a new fan or whatever, you'll like the finish, I think. But I've seen it a million times because I'm a freaking mark. So.
And every time I see something like this, I'm always remembered of Big Show throwing John Cena to that gigantic spotlight.
Oh yeah, from Backlash, the same pay-per-view.
Same pay-per-view, like a couple years later, I think, like 10?
2009. Yeah, it was. I think it was 2009 with Edge, and it was a last man standing match between Cena and Edge.
They always pull off some kind of spectacular stunt by the entrance ramp every time.
That's why I miss cool stages, because when someone went through it, you remembered it.
Batista looking to see if he can Batista bomb Undertaker off a ramp.
I think this should have been the main event, though. Like, if they would have had a clean finish, this should have been the main event. But I know why they didn't put it on last, and it's because of the finish.
Yeah.
The only reason why this didn't go on last, if there would have been a decisive finish, this would have been the main event. Oh, here we go. Here comes the finish. Oh! Man, they don't do stuff like that anymore. Like,
I know.
It was just so cool. I don't know if it's because it costs a lot of money or it's a budget thing, or I don't know, but it looks so cool. It's just stuff you remember.
Just a camera shot of Batista like spearing the Undertaker off the stage, and you don't know what happened. You don't know where they go. We just see that there's the Undertaker and Batista falling together.
Yeah, and you see like pyro going off and electrical stuff going. So cool, man. This is how I remember watching it as a kid. Like, I remember this stuff just so vividly. This is why I became a fan. You know, feuds like this was the reason why I became a fan. Just loved it, man. It was over the top, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't overdone. I miss it, man. I think this feud and the Taker and Edge feud are probably what really got me to really want to like be a wrestler. and to want to, keep loving this.
Although quite an interesting finish, not one that's loved by the audience, as you can hear the flurry of boos.
Oh yeah, like at the time, man, I bet you everyone was thinking, "Oh, really? What the hell? What a ripoff!" But you look back at this finish years later, and you're like, "Oh, that was awesome," because they kept it going. They kept the feud going. Like if this would have been the end of the feud, it would have sucked because there would have been no decisive winner. But they kept it going. So this to me was a good finish in hindsight. Taker still finding a way up.
I'm gonna take a first one out of the pit.
You know what I'm surprised about is Taker and Batista, when they did their cell match, they didn't break the cell, but Taker and Edge did.
I'm surprised that they didn't continue the match after this.
Yeah, it would have been cool if they did.
Yeah, sort of like an Iron Man match rule.
Oh, Taker and Batista in an Iron Man match? That would have been cool. Or like 3 stages of hell or something.
But you would think that would be enough to end a rivalry, but not in the case of Undertaker and Batista, as we are going to go right now to the SmackDown Steel Cage match, a match that takes place on May 11th, 2007. So just a couple weeks after this this pay-per-view match. This, they go through basically hell in a last man standing match where there isn't really a definitive winner here. So it gives Batista a case to ask for a rematch here. So Undertaker always won to oblige a rematch. We get a rematch in not an ordinary one-on-one, not an ordinary just a single match. No, they had to ump the ante. We get a steel cage match on SmackDown of all places. TV. Free TV. If you try and convince Vince McMahon to get Undertaker, Batista, and free TV now, he will laugh you straight out of his office. Well,
because it would sell tickets for a main event of a pay-per-view.
Exactly.
So might as well make it on a pay-per-view, right? But back then, every show was a pay-per-view. That's how good it was.
Exactly. So 55 minutes queued up here. So we are at basically so you're given like about a 30-minute main event on SmackDown. So this is the first time I've seen this in, oh man, I can't even imagine how many years. But if you know what happens at the end of this match, you can imagine how iconic and how synonymous this match does become. And not only the Undertaker and Batista's careers, but for Edge's career as well. So I am queued up at 55 minutes on the dot. And if you're ready, we will continue this double feature. You are ready? Yeah. 3, 2, 1, play.
I can't believe how much heat he got though after the match too. Mm-hmm. Oh man, lots of heat for that.
Oh, I remember. I hated him. I hated Edge.
The original plan was for him to move to SmackDown anyway in the draft, but they had to up it by a few weeks because Taker was injured. He was originally going to move in the draft because I think the draft was in like the first week of June.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were gonna move Edge to SmackDown anyway, but they had to do it a month earlier. And then too, he wasn't supposed to get the briefcase either because Kennedy ended up getting injured.
That's right. I remember he beats Kennedy for the briefcase.
Yeah, because they said Kennedy tore his, I think it was his tricep, and he ended up not tearing his triceps. So they
such a cursed
judged it early.
Such a cursed year. But Kennedy gets injured. Undertaker gets injured. Edge gets injured. Benoit kills himself. 2007. Such a cursed year for WWE.
It's too bad because there was a lot of good stuff in the ring going on in 2007, but there was a lot of stuff outside of it that kind of put a that kind of put a dark cloud over it. Like you had all these great matches with like Cena and Michaels and Taker and Batista, but then like you said, like, you know, the tragedy happens and then Kennedy gets injured and drops the briefcase, you know, and then
Triple H.
Undertaker's injured. Triple H is injured. Rey Mysterio's injured. You know, they're all injured. I mean, and then who else? And then Booker T leaves the company too, right after SummerSlam. So, and then John Cena got injured in September. So it's like there was a lot of moving parts. You know, a lot of departures, a lot of unfortunate stuff happened, and a lot of injuries. You know, so. But imagine though if like none of that would have happened and like everybody stayed healthy, it'd probably be remembered as one of the better years.
I would imagine how different the company would have been just shaped if none of this stuff happens. It's just amazing.
Well, because look at all the good feuds and matches you had just in that year. Like, oh yeah, Lashley left too. Yeah. I just remembered, like off the commercial, I just saw the Lashley figure. But yeah, like a lot of stuff happened. It's like, but again, good stuff happened too. Like you had the Batista and, you know, Taker feud. You had the Cena and Michaels feud. You know, Triple H and Orton did some good stuff too near the end of the year, but a lot of people don't remember it because like the last half of 07 had a really dark cloud on it. But I mean, it was you know, it was a good year in ring wise. Just outside the ring, it was a horrible year. But there were still some good matches going on. Like I mean, WrestleMania 23 was a freaking great, one of the better Manias ever. And the Rumble, I think the best Rumble ever happened that year too.
Oh, of course, the best.
I think
Undertaker.
I think the 07 Rumble's the best one.
And one thing to point out as we see the Undertaker making his entrance, in the Backlash pay-per-view where we just saw was they pan to the crowd, all the signs, basically all Undertaker signs. And notice as Batista makes his entrance as they pan to the crowd, all basically pro-Batista people here in this audience. Very different audiences here. So in the pay-per-view, very pro-Undertaker, Undertaker heavy, but on SmackDown, very pro-Batista and Batista heavy signs. So
yeah, the pendulum kept going back and forth. It's like, but nobody really got booed either. It was like they were both baby faces, but you know, the crowd just, I mean, anytime you're feuding with Taker, you're going to be the designated heel, even if you're not the heel. So, you know, I mean, it depends on who too. It's like with Batista was usually a fan favorite. Like, I think if it would have been John Cena and Undertaker, I think the crowd would have just booed Cena out of the building because of the reaction he was getting at the time. But I mean, with Batista and Taker, I think it was two guys that people legitimately liked. So, I mean, Taker's never going to get booed, but I mean, they're going to be usually more pro Undertaker than anybody.
And
no matter who it is.
As we see Undertaker again carrying the championship, a much different Undertaker in regards for the championship, as we usually see him wearing the belt around his waist. We've seen it in the Ministry in '97, and when he's the biker. Even later on in 08 and his championship reigns in 09, he always wears the belt. But when he was champion here in 2007, it's a belt he always carried. So kind of interesting details there.
Yeah, he kind of evolved it a little bit. Like in 07, he used to just carry it on his side. And then I kind of wish he would have carried it the way Sting did. Like Sting used to carry that same belt kind of like right here. I thought it looked so cool on the entrance. I think it would have been cool if he would have did that. But nonetheless, I've liked it kind of just how he would hold it on his side. Made sense. I remember too when he snatched it from Charles Robinson to it at Mania 23. I thought it was pretty funny. And then JBL called him a freak like right after that. I don't know why I remember stuff like that,
but always slamming the door. Undertaker does that in his cell matches and does it here in his steel cage. Always
when I had with like a baseball because of the stitches I've had from the Undertaker, something like that, and I just laughed. Just stuff like that, man.
I know.
Like even the commentary back then just makes you remember things because they used to get into it too. Like I remember Michael Cole at the end of this match was just like flipping out.
Oh, I remember. I can't wait to revisit that part of this match. I remember Michael Cole just absolutely losing it.
If it would have been Jim Ross, he would have been like, "You sick bastard," you know.
I love Jim Ross. Oh yes.
Edge, you sick bastard. You know, something like that. But I was actually yesterday, before I started watching some old matches. I put on Jim Ross like commentating video games or something. Don't tell Undertaker I was watching video game videos, by the way. But I was watching that, and it was like Jim Ross commentating video games, and it's like, man, like this guy could freaking commentate anything. You could freaking put him in any match, any place, any scenario, and he could make it work. That's why I used to love when he used to call Taker stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he called like Taker and Nick.
Oh yeah, classics, all classics.
I wish he would have been calling this too, the whole Taker and Batista story.
Oh, that'd been great. That would have been really great. As we saw, Jim Ross commentates mostly all of the Undertaker Edge stuff in 2008 as Jim Ross has moved to SmackDown.
Legend, man, the greatest commentator of all time.
Undertaker, Batista both bandaged up. Batista still on his thigh, Undertaker on his elbow. But no slowing down it's a thing that we've seen throughout all their matches. It's just constant action with these two.
Yeah, they never slow down at any point. And usually a steel cage would end feuds. For this one, it was just beginning. This feud was like just beginning too. Mm-hmm. Like back in the 70s and 80s, a steel cage was like Hell in a Cell. Like it ended everything. But here, because it's Taker and Batista, it was just a middle roadblock. Back when the cage match actually felt like a big deal.
Yeah, and oddly enough, JBL said this is a steel cage match that you can win by pinfall or submission besides escaping. So I don't know when they started adding that detail in these matches, but it can definitely be won by pinfall or submission in this one.
Yeah, I don't know either, because I remember back like in the territory days, they used to make it like a disqualification if you would escape the cage and run out. Like you had to win either by like pinfall or surrender. Like you either had to give up or lose via pinfall. Whereas in WWE, when they adopted the steel cage, they made it that you had to escape it.
Yeah.
To get out. I think to add more drama to it, I think that's why they did it. But like back in the older days, it was essentially like an I quit match with a cage around so no one could interfere. But WWE kind of made the cage their own thing. Well, I mean, which isn't a bad thing either, because, you know, escaping the cage adds a lot of suspense to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a match I would like to do one day just to say I did it. I don't know how I would work it, but because I can't even freaking climb a cage, I don't think. Like, you're not athletic.
Well, that's when they add that stipulation that you can do a pinfall or submission in there, so.
Well, I mean, I can climb up it, but to like keep coming up and coming down, I don't know if I can do that, man. I like the barbed wire cage match that they did. I wish they'd bring that back, like the one that JBL and Big Show did.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I like that. I mean, it'd be cool if they brought that stipulation back, because Taker fought Luther Reigns on that show, from what I remember.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would be cool if they brought that back at some point. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always like the cage matches. I just wish that they kind of meant more now.
Mm-hmm.
Like back then, they meant something every time.
Yeah.
Whereas now a cage match is just kind of like nobody cares about it anymore.
No.
Or a lot of people don't in general, which sucks because I love them. Mm-hmm. But like I don't know if you watched a lot of like matches in the 70s and the 80s?
No.
Okay, if you ever have or ever do, you will see the difference between WWE cage matches and like 80s and 70s cage matches. The cage matches back then are like Hell in a Cell. Like they're not about interference or anybody escaping. It's about getting two guys confined and just beating each other to a bloody pulp till one wins.
I don't know.
That's what
I don't know if your network kept in, but I know that commercial promoting Ozzy Osbourne being on next
I saw that.
SmackDown and the CW. Oh, it brings me back to these days.
Ozzy Osbourne, man. Ride the crazy train.
And then what do we come back to? We get to come back to Batista trying to grab the Undertaker from escaping the cage. It's like, how much did we miss on these commercials, right? It's like Undertaker's almost
commercials back then were like what, 5 minutes, something like that.
I would remember. Imagine so. So much. I used to hate it. So much can happen in 5 minutes in the WWE.
I used to hate it as a kid when they'd go to commercial in a match I was really enjoying.
Yeah, especially in the main event, you would think there'd be, for this next main event, no commercial breaks.
Now I understand it because I'm an adult and how commercials work and stuff and advertising. But man, it made me so mad as a kid to, watch like a match like this that I was loving, and they just completely abruptly stopped it.
Batista pulling out some heel tactics with that low blow.
Here we go. He's gonna do the Brock shoulders in the corner. And they both had great timing for guys their size too.
Yeah, I agree.
Great pacing.
Just slamming Undertaker in the turnbuckle. I don't know why Batista would try and escape the cage with his bad leg. You would try, maybe go for a pinfall, maybe go through the door. Don't try to, climb the cage here with your bad leg.
Oh, he fell down. Yeah, I get that. I mean, maybe the psychology was that he knew he wasn't going to pin Taker right away.
But Undertaker gets Batista back with that low blow, and then Batista falling on the the ring ropes. Oh.
Taker didn't do that many cage matches either, eh?
I don't think so. I don't think that cage.
Not many that I remember. Like, yeah. I know he did Big Show in 08, Batista in 07. Did he do? I can't remember him doing a cage match other than. At SummerSlam 01 with DDP and Canyon. But like, I don't remember any in like 02 or 03 or I can't remember off the top of my head.
Especially not especially on the top of my head, no. But maybe there was some.
I don't even remember him doing a cage match in the 90s. Did he? Because I can't remember. I know he did Hell in a Cell with Shawn, but I mean like a regular cage match, I don't remember.
I know he got involved in the Diesel Bret Hart one.
I know he interfered in the Bret and Diesel one, but he wasn't really a participant in the match.
Yeah.
I think because Hell in a Cell was really his thing, that they didn't really think too much about doing a cage match with Taker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, double clothesline.
Such good timing to pull off that move.
Oh, yeah. Especially for two guys their size.
They're just bringing it to each other, the brutality, they both want to be champion here. You can see how important it is. And they're just bringing it to each other here.
Yeah, like they would do anything they could to become world champion.
Yeah. Anything
makes sense. Kill each other if they had to.
Yeah. Because
put each other through every ounce of hell they could put each other through.
Mm-hmm. It means something. And they want a definitive ending, which, they won't get in this match, but they want to show the other person, that they're better than them.
They got to wait till October for that.
Yeah.
Batista ducks under the right hand. No. Big clothesline. Back when Batista used to do that clothesline, it looked like he was taking your head off. Mm-hmm. He had a great clothesline. Good Canadian boy Jimmy Corderas is the referee too. realize that.
And Batista is such a good striker. You know, he matched up so well with the Undertaker.
Yeah, because they could legitimately trade strikes and make it look realistic. It wasn't like Taker, brawling with someone that was like 5'10", 5'9".
Yeah, they made it look realistic. You know, and just before that clothesline from Batista, you can see the strikes he was laying into the Undertaker here is very well done.
There you go. Another splash in the corner. Gonna go for snake eyes. Got him. Yeah, I remember like as a kid, the ending to this match made me so mad. As they said, heat. They got heat for it.
Just a perfect setup here, like you were saying, the perfect snake eyes, big boot, choke slam. Perfectly
Now the
set up
slow
and everything.
Man, I wish I could have been at one of these shows.
Oh, I know.
Would have been so cool. Like one of these SmackDowns, just a random SmackDown.
Yeah.
Never really came
being
around
at this one? How historic this one is? Can you imagine just being there?
I would have been pissed at the ending. I probably would have.
Oh yeah, of course.
6-year-old me would have probably threw like a pop thing in the ring, pop bottle. Can't do that now, but back then you kind of were able to get away with it. No, like if I was like my age now, here watching this, I probably wouldn't have cared as much about the ending, but I just would have had fun seeing it.
I think Undertaker's busted open of that cage shot.
They're showing Khali attacking Cena and Michaels now.
Khali attacking Cena and Michaels. Can't believe Judgment Day. Judgment Day is the next pay-per-view, and Undertaker misses it again. Undertaker does not have good luck around Judgment Day time.
Now remember Judgment Day 06?
Stop. You don't want to forget Judgment Day 06.
And then he didn't wrestle at Judgment Day 05 from what I remember. And then 04, he wrestled Booker, right?
Yeah.
Judgment Day 04. Yeah. That's what I thought. That wasn't too long after WrestleMania 20, like the pay-per-view after.
Yeah, I think it was the next one.
All I remember from Judgment Day 04 was Eddie and JBL. That crazy match.
Open wound, just pounding into the Undertaker's bloody face here.
Last ride.
Yeah, a reversal of fortune from the last match, as Undertaker was caught in the Batista bomb in the spot. Now Batista's caught in the last ride spot.
Taker's got a huge blade job going there.
That's right. This is the third. This is the trilogy match.
Yeah, and we ended up getting a double trilogy, literally.
I wonder if Undertaker probably was not hurt, he probably would have won this clean.
That's what I'm thinking.
And they probably would have given a break from Batista until getting him maybe later on in the year.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he probably would have defended, at the next pay-per-view, which was, I think, Vengeance. I think Vengeance was the next. No, One Night Stand. Then
Judgment
Vengeance.
Day. It'd been Judgment Day after this.
Oh yeah, Judgment Day. Yeah, because there was because Vengeance was in June. They did like 3 pay-per-views within a month. So there was One Night Stand, Judgment Day, and Vengeance. I don't know. He probably would have. I think they would have probably done the 3-way with him, Batista, and Edge at Vengeance. That's what I'm thinking. And then Taker and Batista again at SummerSlam, and then bring Edge back into the fold afterward.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about what would have happened if he was healthy here.
Because Ray was hurt around this time, so I don't think Ray would have been involved.
Probably
I don't
maybe, and
know.
this
Maybe
match may have
Benoit.
happened. This match may have been Judgment Day's match.
Well, if they would have taken a break from Batista for like a month or two, who would have they put in the face Taker?
Yeah.
Because Ray was hurt, and then MVP was the U.S. champion. So was at least Benoit, Finley. Like I don't know who else they could have put in there. You know, other than
Here
maybe
comes
Finley. Here we go.
the
Here's
photo
the
finish.
All right at the same time.
The photo finish ending.
Oh boy, there we go. The finish. Same time. Never made sense to me though, like why at the time as a kid, I'm like, oh, why did Undertaker have to lose the title here? And then, I wasn't reading dirt sheets in 07, but I mean, I didn't know he was hurt until I was older, but
Everybody's in a panic. Everybody doesn't know what's going on.
they landed right at the same time too. You can time that better.
They're both looking at each other here.
There you go. Oh, look, everyone's laughing.
Oh my god. I think technically Taker drops first.
Let's see. I think Taker left the cage first.
Oh my god. See, as we said at the top of the show, a secondary match where there is no clear-cut winner. Hence the Undertaker retaining the championship by sheer default here.
It ain't done yet, folks. Here we go. Mark Henry's gonna attack him.
It's I remember thinking about this as this happened. I was thinking, of all people, why Mark Henry?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it set them up for Unforgiven, though. Maybe that's what they were thinking.
Maybe Mark Henry would have been the next challenger.
I mean, yeah, it could have been. I mean, they could have taken a break from Batista and I guess did Henry at Vengeance.
Because
not Vengeance, sorry, Judgment Day.
No, I actually think if Undertaker was healthy, that the steel cage match probably would have been Judgment Day.
Oh yeah,
because
it would have made sense to have done it at Judgment Day.
Yeah, and then after Judgment Day, Henry attacks Taker, and then we get Henry at Vengeance, and then you may have even gotten Edge at SummerSlam.
I love the Taker and Edge feud, so I could watch them.
You need a big opponent for SummerSlam, and I think that's where Edge comes in for Taker.
Edge and Taker, and then what? Henry and Batista for another match.
Yeah, trying for like the #1 contender.
And then Batista can win, and then they can do Batista and Taker one more time, and then do the 3-way at Survivor Series.
You do Undertaker and Batista at Cyber Sunday, and then you can have Edge cash in after that.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
And then you get a triple threat at Survivor Series.
And then Edge and Taker at WrestleMania. Here we go.
I remember this. I remember just Henry walking up and then Edge just coming right past him.
Edge is so good, man. Sleazy. Bottom feeder.
I remember this.
Also suck the carcass dry. Edge cashes in on a bloody, beat up Taker.
Yeah, a bloody and beaten Undertaker.
Michael Cole just absolutely flips out.
Yeah, Michael Cole just absolutely tearing Edge a new one here. Remember how when referees used to have them cash in so quickly? Nowadays they're just like keep asking them, "You sure you want to do this?"
Yeah, just ring the bell, man.
Remember that.
Yeah, it was more sudden back then. Hey, ring it. What a cheap way to win a title.
I remember Undertaker kicks out. Yeah.
This fit Edge perfectly though to cash it and win a title like this.
Just that visual of the bloodied Undertaker sitting up. I remember that.
Couldn't do it. This is what kicked off Taker and Edge for a year. Actually, over a year. Imagine if Edge would have just like failed this cash in.
That'd been hilarious, actually. Like Undertaker, like still beats him. That'd been funny.
Oh man, we go Taker selling it. Gonna run into this here. You sick bastard. It's the most Edge way of winning a world title. Just coming in at the end and stealing it.
Yeah. As he's done on multiple occasions.
Fit him perfectly though. It's like what he did it. It's like when he did it at No Way Out and took the chamber spot.
Yeah.
And then when he cashed in the first time too on a bloody John Cena from the chamber. Remember that too. Stole another one.
Yeah.
And Michael Cole just flips out.
But I remember this so vividly, just hating it. Because, you know, I'm like, I would say what, 15? Yeah, I would say 15. I'm not, even at 15, I'm not reading dirt sheets. I don't know Undertaker's injured.
I still don't read dirt sheets to this day.
I'm like, I can't believe this is happening.
I still like to be surprised in wrestling, so I do my best to avoid dirt sheets.
But quite the interesting unfolding of events here. As you said, it kicks off Undertaker and Edge, because this is like the catalyst for what the feud becomes in 2008. And but Undertaker and Batista are not done yet. As you have said, after Undertaker returns at Unforgiven, lays waste to Mark Henry, puts that demon away for the foreseeable future. Undertaker Batista collide once more, and that is where we will be joined up once again next time as the Undertaker and Batista clash at Cyber Sunday in a special guest referee match. And who gets the dubious honor to referee Undertaker and Batista? Well, none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. And And I am looking forward to that one again. Just like the steel cage match, it is a match I have not seen in a bit of a long time. But I know it's good. I know every time Undertaker and Batista meet, it's a good match. And that is next time. Same Taker time, same Taker channel. As always, Keegan, thank you for joining me as we continue this look back at the rivalry between the Animal and the Phenom, Batista and the Undertaker. Thank you as always. And until then, just continue to like, comment, subscribe on this YouTube video. Follow me at Collect Up Dead on Twitter, Collecting Dead Man on Instagram, Keegan RW on Twitter. And make sure, as I say here each and every week, creatures of the night, keep on rolling, baby. Until next time.